Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek at SPIEL 2016. I'm sitting down with Phil Eklund of Sierra Madre Games, and you've brought us Biogenesis. Another mighty Phil game in a little bitty box.
Yes. There's a lot of game per cubic millimeter.
That is for sure.
And it covers a lot of time, 4 billion years of history since the Earth was just a molten glob.
That's just a little bit of time.
Yeah, an afterthought in the formation of the solar system, more or less. And the Earth actually starts in this game in the Hadean era, so with molten crust and the like, it's not so great for the formation of life. But so for first few turns, the players are kind of settling in, making catalyst. These are catalysts, by the way. They're used for money in the game, more or less. Actual currency hasn't been quite invented yet, so but I call them catalysts. And this is a game that can be played 1 to 4 players, and either cooperatively or competitively. A lot of players start out cooperative because it is brutal game. And there's 4, if you go to all 4 players, there's 4 qualities of life. There's, here, I'll use this, maybe.
Wow, yeah,
yes.
Here, we'll put that right in the middle.
Here's a little bacteria here. And player red, he's in charge of metabolism. Like amino acids, proteins, things that make money, make catalysts. That's what proteins do in the body, is they produce more and more catalysts. So the more chromosomes, red chromosomes, either bionts or the cube chromosomes, the more money you will make. But blue, another quality of life, is how many errors you can stand. They're error shields are what they are, because an important quality of life, I'm not sure if you knew this, Beth, but is replication, reproducing yourselves. And some people say that's the only quality of life, but I have 4 in the game, and I think they're equally important. But replication is how many errors you can stand before you have to start removing. If you make a survival roll, every 5s or 6s will remove a cube unless they're shielded. Another player's player yellow. This is the cell wall, the phospholipid cell wall. And in this, they're good. Well, in reality, they're good for separating life from the rest of the world, more or less. So if there's metabolic waste products, they empty the garbage. But in this game, for every yellow chromosome you have in your creature, in your bacteria, you're able to do a re-roll. So if you do a dice roll, maybe you've got 4 dice. Oh, man, look at this. That's terrible. 2 errors. I don't want to suffer that. I can re-roll them and hope I'll roll better. I hope I'm rolling in camera here. All right, and that is better. In fact, a 1 will allow my red cubes to generate more catalysts. The last player's player green. Player green controls energy. Like pigments in a cell, it absorbs solar energy and dissipate it in a way the rest of the cell can use. And so this allows you to have more of your workers, your bionts, out in the field, the more energy you command in the game. So every player has their abilities, but the deal is that every player can use the other player's abilities if they have their chromosomes in their life form.
Now, your games always are notable for having such an intense amount of research, of history, of content. Is there, and I know you love history, but this is a little bit more of a scientific bent than you've done in the past. Is this a passion play for you?
Well, I've always been passionate about biology, but I've never understood biochemistry. I never took biochemistry. So I was really lost. And I had to go to advisors, and these advisors were confusing. And I've made many missteps in this, and I got yelled at by various people, and I still get yelled at. And I'm not saying there's some controversial theories here. The idea that there might be 4 qualities of life, and life's not just about reproduction, is controversial. The idea that you can have life without reproduction, either immortal or perhaps through hypercycles, they're called autocatalytic cycles. That's controversial. The idea that this could have come before reproduction, and maybe even a billion years without reproduction, it might have hypercycles supporting other hypercycles that support the catalysts that drive the hypercycles. So yeah, there's some controversy over here, but I've done my best. I've really gotten fascinated in the subject. I always wanted to do this theme. It's probably the most challenging one I've ever attempted.
Now, for such a small scale but a big scope of a game, what are we actually trying to accomplish to win? And is that different for cooperative versus competitive?
Those are good questions. I'll just mention that you've got different parasites in the game. Like a pure reproduction for player blue would be a virus. They have to attach to other living things for their metabolism. Pure metabolism, though, is a prion. They have no reproduction, but they can spread in a fashion without reproduction by their method of folding. So in a cooperative game, the game system will control these against the players who are trying to cooperate to reach their end goals, which I'll mention in a second. In a competitive game, each player blue will get his virus, player red will get his prion, or possibly protein X as he wants. So to answer what the players are trying to do, they're going to go to various places on Earth that might start life, like storm clouds, or even in space, interplanetary dust, or in a deep hot biosphere, or on Mars. They'll have to hitchhike a meteor to come to Earth eventually, but life could get started in these places. The players will compete long before they actually get a cell or something that's even proto-life. They'll be attempting to organize chemicals in these environments, maybe competing for them, player yellow and player green, competing to get these mana cubes down here organized. This is the unorganized side, this is the organized side. There's a lot of dice rolling in the game. In this particular ones or twos will organize it, but 5s or 6s will disorganize it. So you're fighting a losing battle here. But if you start to make some catalysts and start to spend them to cover up the disorganized
get
ones,
more organized.
Yeah, then and if you roll doubles, you have the option to organize it and not take everything you've organized and flip it over to a cell, and and that starts it here, and you attempt to make this survive. You're going to be spending money, spending catalysts to create mutations, add mutations to your creations, more blue cells, more special abilities. You can promote it from a single cell, a single strand RNA to a double strand DNA with more abilities and additional cube. And finally, Beth, this is the ultimate goal for a player is to become a worm. or there's a few options here, but this is about as far as you get in this game. A multicellular worm. It's hard. It's hard to become a worm.
That's still a long journey.
A multicellular worm. And the next game in the series that's still in development is Bios Megafauna 3rd edition, and that will pick your worm up and grow it to dinosaur size or intelligence or tool using worms, whatever.
Well, Phil, I appreciate you letting us take a quick look. And if you guys want to check that out, that is Bios Genesis from Sierra Madre Games. And thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, Beth.